Hey there, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be chatting about selling secondhand sanitizing palettes, the process that I use to get my listings ready to go. It is a subscriber request, and I'll also be playing with these eyeshadow palettes to do this eyeshadow look. If you're interested in any of that, then stick around. Okay, today I have a sort of plan. I think I want to go with an eye look that is more pinky leaning purple to kind of work with my earrings. For that, I pulled out the Winter Wonderland palette from Cosmic Beauty. Specifically these two shades up here. But then I think I want to bring in kind of a warm silver shimmer. And warm silvers are hard to come by. So I pulled out two different palettes that might give me warm silvers. I've got Hey Reindeer from Odin's Eye. I was thinking perhaps this one. It looks to be like a silver that's got a bit of a brown base. So I'm going to swatch that. And I also thought while I'm grabbing another palette for that silver, maybe I'll find a deepening shade. So this is a potential deepening shade. Or I pulled out the Enchanted Icon palette from Revolution Beauty. And I was thinking perhaps this one, which isn't super silvery. It's more of a maybe a cool brown, which crosses or dabbles with the line, I guess, of warm silver. Anyway, I thought I'd try to swatch that one as well, and here would be a deepening shade if I use this palette. Furthermore, I have a new palette pull-in project, which, if you don't know, is when I have randomly generated a palette for my collection and I have to use the shades in the palette in consecutive order. So my most recent palette pull-in is the Pretty Chic from Colored Raine, and since I'm just starting this one, my first color is this iridescent white. It actually has a lot of different flips in it, but I think it's mainly white. It's not the most multi-chrome. It's not the most colorful multi-chrome. I think they're just little colorful sparkles maybe. So that's an easy inner corner highlight if nothing else. And I'm gonna get started, and I want to talk about a subscriber question regarding buying and selling palettes. I'm starting with the Blend Bunny B1 in the Winter Wonderland palette. The shade is called Calm, and I think I'm gonna put this in kind of a large part of my crease. What my subscriber recently asked, and this was a question that they sent to me in an Instagram chat. I am Shimmers and Silver on Instagram if you ever want to contact me directly, because there's no chat function in YouTube, although I think there used to be back in the day. Anyway, Gloria messaged me over on Instagram and asked me to sort of walk through my process for selling palettes. I sell palettes on POSHMARK and MERCARI, mostly MERCARI at this point. POSHMARK has very little, if no, activity lately for me. But she wanted to know how I list and, well, just list the palettes, I guess, and also my process for disinfecting. I do not disinfect palettes. It's not really a concern for me. I mean, especially powdered products are a very low likelihood of getting moldy. They do get moldy. In fact, I've had to throw away an eyeshadow palette because it had gotten moldy. But this tends to happen when products are kept in more moist or higher humidity places. Aside from that one palette, which was given to me by somebody else, and I don't know how they store their eyeshadows, I personally have never had a problem with eyeshadow mold, and I've never bought a palette that went moldy. So it's not really a concerning thing for me. Now I'm taking blanket. But I recognize that some people do want their eyeshadows sanitized, and because I don't offer it with my own listings, I figure if somebody really wants that, then they can just do it themselves when they receive the item. It seems like a good process is to take some Q-tips or cotton balls, or both, maybe some tissues or paper towels, and some 70% isopropyl rubbing alcohol. Put some of the alcohol into a spray bottle, like a little travel size is fine, just something small, doesn't have to be crazy. They go to the palette and they might wet the cotton swabs or Q-tips and just clean all around the pans. So, because you know, sometimes you get fallout, you know, like you can see right here from me using this Calm shade, there's a little bit of kick up that came out of the pan onto the palette. So they clean that up. It also presumably would deal with fingerprints and any potential bacteria or oils that might be existing on the palette itself, on the packaging. Then you can take the 70% alcohol in the little spray bottle and just give a general spritz over the entire palette, including the eyeshadows. It's going to evaporate off the surface of the eyeshadow pan, but the idea is that it kills the germs that might be there, and then it evaporates. Now, after that, you may see that there's some moisture from the spray that is sort of settled, and that's so pretty, that has settled onto the packaging itself, many of which are cardboard. And if that's the case, it might be a good idea to clean up any excess moisture so that it doesn't seep into the packaging, particularly if it's cardboard, and make the packaging gross. And that's it, actually. Maybe do the same thing on the outside of the packaging where your fingers touch, and it'll be completely dry within a couple, but definitely 24 hours. And that's it. As far as I know, that's how anybody sanitizes their eyeshadow. Now, let me swatch and figure out which palette I'll use for the shimmer, and that will tell me which I'm going to use for deepening. I'm going to swatch the two shimmers. There's this one in the Revolution palette. Does seem more of a light cool brown, and then this one down here in Hey Reindeer is called Bells. So this is Bells, and this is from Revolution. And I mean, they both work with my shirt, but I was really feeling something more like this. So let's do that. This is the shade Bells from the Udenzai Hey Reindeer palette. I might, let me just pause it there. I'm gonna deepen, and then I'll get back into that shimmer. I'm a little off kilter today, but that's okay. I'll take a smaller, denser brush. This is the Blend Bunny B3, and since I'm in this palette, this is what I use to deepen. The shade in the lower corner is called Snow Wish. As far as what I do for listing my own palettes, I personally like it when a listing has lots of pictures, or not even lots of pictures, but clear pictures. It drives me crazy when I see a listing and the pictures are fuzzy, or the lighting's terrible, really dark, really yellow. I can't clearly see the product. I don't need lots of pictures, but I want to see the whole product. So if it's a larger palette, then I might take 2 pictures. You know, if it's like an 18 pan, I might take a picture of this 9 pan and then a picture of this 9 pan close up so that the user can, or the potential buyer can see the wear. I also usually take a picture of the outside of the palette, at least, if not also the back. I don't really know why I take a picture of the back, but I do. I like to be comprehensive. I think that I've seen that on Mercari you can even include videos now, so that's a consideration if you don't want to take the little pictures, or if maybe you do want to include the video, if perhaps you've got some shades which are a little shifty, or if you want to try to show the usage in a pan, if you want to try to capture the depth and the picture's not doing it, maybe you can take a video. I just try to be as useful as possible when it comes to giving information to the person who's looking to buy this item, so that I can say, oh, look, here's a dent in the packaging, or the mirror was cracked a little bit here. None of which has ever been a case for what I'm selling, but I have seen it on listings, and I appreciate that, because the seller should be as transparent as possible so that the buyer can be as content as possible and know what they're getting. I do like to show usage. I do like to show the full palette, like from afar, so you can see the entire thing. If I have any additional packaging, like the original box or maybe sleeve, then I'll probably include that in the distance shot so that you can see everything you'd be getting at one time. I just try to make my descriptions as accurate as possible. I never copy from a website. I just write whatever I'm thinking about the palette. If it's not a quality that I'm happy with, I don't usually say I didn't like the quality, because that's very personal and preferential. You know, maybe somebody else is looking for exactly what I'm not looking for. So what I do is I highlight the good points. It's a beautiful color story. It's from a well-reputed brand. Lots of people love this palette. I have gotten pretty looks out of it. Maybe I'm selling it because I find that I have similar color stories elsewhere, or I just prefer other brands or formulas, or I have too much of this color story and this one's not getting used. Like if I sell a green palette, I can honestly say I have a lot of greens and something's gotta give. I'm definitely honest in every way. Like when I sell something from Ace Beauté, I specify whether or not it's the older or the newer formula. For example, I have an Ace Beauté Flare palette. I have 2. because I liked it so much I bought it in the new formula, which means that I have the old one to sell, and I specify this is Ace Beauté's older formula. It's still beautiful. It's the same color story. It's just not as new and updated, so that could also affect the price. As far as the price, I'm always willing to negotiate. I mean, honestly, I'd rather that somebody give me less than I'm asking for just to get it out of my house, because holding on to it just means it's going to slowly go bad on my shelf rather than being used by somebody else. Now I'm going back into this Belle's shade. And that's about it. I mean, I do specify that my palettes are coming from a pet and smoke-free home. I have some sensitivity to cat dander, so especially with makeup that's going on my eyes, I would want to know if it was coming from a home where it might be in contact with cats. I'm always careful to package as well as possible. I always include a thank you card because it's like my superpower. I'm really good at sending thank you cards. I think it's very important to show appreciation and gratitude, even if it's just a little thing like thanks for buying this eyeshadow palette, because that person has put some trust in me as a seller, and they're also helping to build my MERCARI balance so that I can get something which I might enjoy more. And I just know how much joy I get from receiving a well-meaning and loving thank you card. So I want to pass that on. I always send thank you cards. And I usually include little freebies. Once in a while I forget, or I don't have one to include. That's pretty. Oh yes, I like that. But if I have freebies, I send them. And that might be, it might be a little lotion packet that I got from the mall, or it might be a pair of earrings, because everyone's always commenting on my earrings. I even included a few in my 1,000 subscriber giveaway. It might be a pair of earrings that kind of match the palette. Like if you bought a blue palette, I'll find some blue earrings that I haven't worn in a while and just include them in there. Not everybody likes that stuff, but I'm taking a chance. And even if you don't like the items themselves, it still feels like a little extra fun to get something unexpected in the mail. I just know that I enjoy these things, and so I try to, pass them on to the people with whom I'm interacting throughout the day. I'm gonna take Blanket with this soft, very loose blending brush and run this on my whole lower lash line. That's about it as far as me listing palettes. I just try to be as transparent as possible, tell people what they're getting, make my prices reasonable. I'm definitely open to negotiation. If you make me a reasonable offer, I'll probably accept it, just so that I know the palette's going to somebody who wants it rather than slowly going bad on my shelf. Now a little bit of calm with the same brush. No, that brush is not working. A little bit of calm with kind of a pointy or flat angled or flat brush. It's not pointy and it's not angled. What am I saying? A flat brush. Just pushing calm into my lashes a bit. And for an inner corner, I was gonna do a matte blue. There's no matte blue that's light enough in here, so I'll do my palette pull-in for the inner corner. This is my palette pull-in. It's the shade Booked and Busy. Just a little bit. Yeah. Here we go. I'm gonna throw some up here. Maybe I'll use this as a face highlighter too. Oh, it's actually looking quite purple. I can't tell if that's because of the purples I paired it with. Maybe some shadow transferred onto my finger. But maybe I'll use this as a face highlighter too. We'll see. I'm gonna go off camera and finish up, and I'll be right back. Every time I see it, I love it more. A purple eye with neutral colors. I don't know what it is. For me, it's so unexpected and whimsical yet still grounded. I don't know. Maybe like a fairy forest, because you've got the fun ethereal effect of the fairy concept, right? But then you've got the grounded, rooted in reality sort of feeling of a forest, and that's what I get with this vibe. I just think it's so pretty. In my waterline, I used a dark brown, again kind of an homage to the neutral tones of my outfit, and also a grounding effect with a very lightweight, whimsical sort of eyeshadow look. I have mascara on, and then on my lips I'm wearing the NYX Butter Gloss in the shade Lava Cake. I did not use this shimmer on my face as a highlighter. In fact, I don't have anything on my face. No blush, no highlighter, no bronzer, anything else. And the more I see this shade up close, let me swatch it for you, because it felt kind of like unicorn sorts of feels. Like it's way more multi-chromatic or multi-dimensional than I originally gave it credit for. Looking at it, I see pink, blue, purple, and tiny little flecks of green and yellow maybe. And that is not at all what I expected from what appears on the surface to be just a white shimmer that might be iridescent and have a couple different flips to it, but not where to lay this all over my lid and I were to turn my head, you wouldn't see all these individual colors. It's just sort of a sparkle effect with what looks like a pink base. It's not what I expected, and it is very pretty. So that's just my inner corners, and up here, as you saw, I ended up using only these two palettes besides the palette pull-in. I did not use that Revolution palette, but I'm really happy with this look. I think it's super pretty. I think it's really lovely, and I'm excited that I took the time to hunt through my collection a little bit and try to find a warm-toned, more silvery shimmer. I also considered the Norns palette from Udenzai. I didn't pull that one out, but that one has a really unique silver in it that probably would have worked just fine. I'm happy with this look, and I'm happy with this shimmer, except that I think it's hard panning in my palette already. I'm not going to get into the formulation issues that I've seen from Udenzai in 23 into 24, but this shade is starting to hard pan. I picked it up okay the first time. By the third dip into it, I was noticing it was harder to pick up, harder to get on my finger, even though I wiped my finger off between each one, trying to get rid of any excess oils. So what I did then was I took a flat brush and I kind of dug around into, like, the tip down into the shadow to agitate it and pick it up. And that did pick up on my brush. I did not spray it, and I felt the fallout on my face as I applied it to my lid. If I had sprayed it, that might not have been such a problem. If I can use a shimmer like that, if a shimmer's hard panning with my finger, but I can still get it with a brush, that's fine. That's okay with me. I don't have to use my finger or have to use a brush. I just try to use what seems to work the best. But I've noticed a lot of hard pan with Udenzai shimmers, and it's a little annoying. I really like the colors in this palette, and I'm still sort of torn with whether or not I want to depot it and add these shades to my BYOP stash, or if I want to just keep the palette as is. I'm glad I used it today so I could just get a bit more use out of it. I struggle with this palette. I think parts of it are super pretty and parts of it have good formula, and then other parts are a little bit less reliable, so I haven't decided what to do with it. But I do like today's eyeshadow look, and of course I would love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below what you think of today's look and how you feel about the whole eyeshadow palette sanitizing thing. Do you sell secondhand? Do you buy secondhand? Do you sanitize, or do you want things to be sanitized when they come to you? What is your stance on that? Let's talk. Thank you so much for being here today. Perhaps you'll consider liking and subscribing if this is something that you enjoy and you want to see more content like this. I tend to upload a couple videos every week, and I look forward to chatting with you in the next one. Bye.